I welcome you. I congratulate you. And I hand you over to the citizens of this republic to work with you, to guide you, to hold your hand. And please, you dare not fail. You dare not disappoint. You dare not desecrate the values enshrined in our Constitution.
On November 11, 2024, President Duma Boko's administration began to take shape with the announcement of 6 key ministerial appointments. Boko initially proposed a lean 10-person cabinet, but after consulting with experts, agreed on a larger 18-member cabinet to meet the demands of governance. Additionally, 6 new ministries were created, with youth and gender affairs notably separated from sports and culture.
I, Ndaba Gaolathe, do swear that I will faithfully and diligently discharge my duties and perform my functions in the office of the Vice President of the Republic of Botswana, and that I will, to the best of my judgment, at all times when so required, give my counsel and advice to the President of Botswana for the good management of the public affairs of Botswana.
So help me God.
So help me God. So help me God.
Ndaba Gaolathe has been named both Deputy President and Minister of Finance. The son of former Finance Minister Phenyo Butale, who served from 1999 to 2009, Ndaba brings a robust economic background. He holds a degree in economics and an MBA in finance, complemented by years of experience in both finance and public service. Gaolathe's appointment in 2 executive roles aligns with Boko's economic reform agenda for Botswana.
Economic and financial situation. How dire we will determine as we go along, but it is dire. We all can appreciate. You know it is dire because you feel it. And as Rita Marley says, who feels it knows it. Need to listen to music, poetry, the arts. They are going to prove very vital in this unfolding narrative of this new Botswana, the Second Republic. So who feels it knows it. You feel it. You know it. As well as I do, maybe even better.
Appointed as Minister of International Relations, Dr. Phenyo Butale holds a PhD from the University of Stellenbosch. Butale's background as a communication specialist and his experience in civil society make him a strong fit for Botswana's international diplomacy efforts. A former MP in 2014, he previously served as country director for the Media Institute of Southern Africa, and as executive director of the Freedom of Expression Institute in Johannesburg, where he honed his diplomatic skills.
I, Dr. Phenyo Butale, do swear that I will not directly or indirectly reveal the business or proceedings of Cabinet or the nature of contents of any documents or any other matter coming to my knowledge concerning the business or proceedings of Cabinet, except as may be required in the discharge of my official duties or with the authority of the President. So help me God.
Dr. Maikas Chimbambi, a respected figure in Botswana's agricultural sector, has been appointed Minister of Lands and Agriculture. Known for his work in agricultural reform and land management, Chimbambi's expertise will be instrumental as Botswana looks to modernize its agricultural policies. He will be supported by Dr. Edwin Dekoloti, whose medical and administrative experience adds valuable support to the ministry's mission.
I, Dr. Maikas Chimbambi, do swear that I will not directly or indirectly reveal the business or proceedings of Cabinet or the nature of contents of any document or any other matter coming to my knowledge concerning the business or proceedings of cabinet, except as may be required in the discharge of my official duties or with the authority of the president. So help me God.
University of Botswana lecturer and seasoned politician Nono Kafila Makoka has taken the reins as Minister of Child Welfare and Basic Education. Known for her commitment to youth and social development, Kafila Makoka's experience in education and her focus on child welfare position her to lead critical reforms in Botswana's education system.
The next one is a new ministry that we've dreamt into existence, and is the Ministry of Child Welfare and Basic Education. We made this vow. We made this solemn undertaking to the people. We entered into a compact with them that we would give them a Ministry of Child Welfare and Basic Education. We have begun to deliver. And that promise stands met, at least to the degree of having the ministry in place. And we have appointed into that ministry Menono Kafela Mokoka, Minister of Child Welfare and Basic Education. And I would ask that she be ushered in so that we publicly welcome her. Menono Kafela Mokoka. She tells me this is closest to her heart, that she is humbled by this appointment and she takes it very seriously. Child welfare, because we've said, and we've said many times, in appreciation of the challenges that our children face, we want to pick them up from when they are born or before, be interested in their welfare from then, see them through until they reach the gates of school, not just to begin standard 1, but early childhood learning. We have to make this available to every child in this country. It is not going to be a preserve of the elite. It's not going to be enjoyed only by a few. It is going to be available to every child because they happen to be in this country. They happen to be children of this country. And we will make sure it'll be under his stewardship that all this must happen.
Dr. Stephen Modise, a general surgeon and medical lecturer, will serve as Minister of Health. Modise's extensive experience in surgery and health education aligns with Boko's healthcare reform agenda, and he is expected to prioritize both infrastructure improvement and equitable healthcare access. Lawrence Ukeditsa, known for his work in health policy, will support Dr. Modise in this role.
The new Minister of Health is Dr. Stephen Modise. Dr. Stephen Modise. There he is. He's a good dude. Some of you might even say he's a good-looking dude. And I may not be able to disagree. But that's not the criterion of appointment. He is a competent, young, dynamic, vibrant, capable medical professional. engaged in the clinical side of medicine, done consultancy work, has also been part of medical faculty or member of academia, being an adjunct professor of neuro something. Neuroscience. So there he is. We have him there because we believe he's capable. And we believe he will deal with the challenges of providing quality health care. Dr. Stephen Mudise will be deputized in the health ministry by Mr. Lawrence Okeditse, beginning to deal from the bottom of the deck. Don't think you anticipated. Here to shock you. Here to shake you and to shape the future. Mr. Lawrence Okeditse sits here as the Deputy Minister of Health. Without much regard to his politics. But it might also please you to know, and you may have picked this up during the presidential debates, if there was any convergence at all between certain of the political players, it was between myself and his president on the issue of the national health insurance. That you may have picked up. And so when he sits here in part to implement the policies of his own political formation. He's not being co-opted into something he doesn't understand or doesn't agree with. He's coming in to lend his voice, his weight, his capabilities to a program in which he believes. And so we welcome Mr. Lawrence Okeditse as Deputy Minister of Health.
With Boko emphasizing Botswana's current economic and financial challenges, the new cabinet is set to address the nation's critical needs through a renewed focus on national development. Lesigo Chombo, a 24-year-old lawyer, former Miss Botswana 2022, and social advocate, has been appointed as Minister of Youth and Gender Affairs. She founded the Lesigo Chombo Foundation, which supports marginalized communities, and her legal background, an LLB from the University of Botswana, prepares her well for the ministry's mission to advance youth and gender equality.
I, Lesigo Chombo, do swear that I will not directly or indirectly reveal the business or proceedings of the Cabinet or the nature of contents of any document or any other matter coming to my knowledge concerning the business or proceedings of the Cabinet, except as may be required in the discharge of my official duties or with the authority of the President, and so help me God.
With Boko emphasizing Botswana's current economic and financial challenges, the new cabinet is set to address the nation's critical needs through a renewed focus on national development.
Congratulations on your appointment. Thank you. We welcome you into the service of this republic. You carry on your shoulders a heavy responsibility of meeting and satisfying the expectations of people who are yearning for change, yearning for appreciation, yearning for recognition by their country, yearning for a leadership that serves them and serves them wholly, with the deepest commitment, the deepest understanding, and the highest levels of dedication. You will be called upon to formulate and engage in the rollout of policies and interventions designed to serve and to raise the profile of this republic. You will do so in the most difficult and trying of circumstances. You will do so within serious constraints of time and space sometimes. But you will serve and give your all nonetheless. Because our people expect no less from all of you, from all of us. You will keep the confidences of the Republic. Sometimes you will keep the confidences of those that you will serve. You will hold them in the highest esteem. You will not abuse them. You will not violate their rights and freedoms. You will not undermine their integrity and their dignity. Those you will uphold. Above all, you will remain faithful to the Constitution of this Republic. You will be faithful unto death to the values and precepts enshrined in that Constitution. You will conduct yourselves at all times in accordance with the Constitution and the laws of this Republic and the highest ethical and moral standards. We have undertaken to run a government that is agile. That is the word that we've used and used repeatedly. Agile. We want this government to have agility, that it must be quick to appreciate situations. It must be quick to devise appropriate interventions and strategies to deal with those situations. And it must implement those strategies as quickly and as effectively as possible. We are wrestling with two key propositions. The first I've called the is proposition. Where are we as a country, as a nation? We need to settle that proposition together. And when we do, we must appreciate what Benjamin Disraeli once said. He said there are three kinds of lies. He says lies, damned lies, statistics. Three kinds of lies. Lies, damned lies, statistics. We can marshal statistics and flatter and deceive ourselves into thinking we are doing very well, because the statistics that we've chosen to present are tailored to give that impression. If we try and do that, we delude ourselves. We mislead the very people that we are supposed to inform. And that is an indication of disrespect for them. And so we have to be very careful about how we use the statistics so that we don't flatter to deceive with the stats that we marshal. So we're going to speak the truth. We're going to describe the situation or situations as they really are. We're going to be brutally frank and honest about where we are at any given point. We're not going to paint any rosy picture that is inaccurate and dishonest. We're not going to look at any situation through any rose-tinted glasses. We're going to be very, very honest. Take the people into our confidence. That is the best guarantee that they will know what we are doing, and where there are challenges, and there will be challenges, they will understand. They will also give us their own ideas about how we deal with the challenges. So it is important for us to understand this. So in the context of the is proposition, we must map out, we must clearly define and delineate what the issues are, where we are, what the real situation is. And the next proposition that we are going to wrestle with together is the ought proposition. Where ought we to be? If this is where we are, and we are in a hole, we've got to get ourselves out of this hole. But when we get out, where are we going? Where do we want to be? That is the ought proposition. So we are wrestling with these twin challenges, the is and the ought. This is what has engaged philosophers of all colors and hues over time and clime. We are all going to wrestle with these questions, the is and the ought. Because between the is and the ought, there's a gap, there's a chasm, there's a gulf. How do we bridge the gap? And we are going to bridge this gap in a programmatic way. And programmatic reasoning, I was taught, entails, once you've understood where you are, you must begin to determine the adjacent steps. What are the immediate steps that you must take to get yourself where you're going? And we must understand this because, and I've said this many times, it's not about blueprints, it's about pathways. There's no ready formula. We're not going to go into history and open books and find a ready solution and call it something and begin to label each other. This one is not socialist, he's not capitalist, he's not, no. There's no ready solution. We're going to fashion the solutions ourselves together with you, the media. We're going to put these solutions together, informed by our own circumstances and their exigencies, and what we think will work. We will differ, we will argue, we will quarrel over how we move ourselves to where we ought to be. So if we understand where we are and we settle the ought together, when we fight, we'll fight about whether we are moving in the right manner at the right pace to get where we all have agreed we ought to be. This is the reality. And so in the context of dealing with how we get there, we're going to have to change the routines and the habits, the practices, and the attitudinal instrumentalities that we have settled in, our comfort zones. We're going to have to get out of our comfort zones, all of us. No exception. The better for us to move ourselves rapidly to where we ought to be. And so when we deal with this bridging this gap, we are effectively dealing with something that we've called structural ambition. What are the institutions that will carry the kind of society we ought to be? We must design those institutions. We must conceive them. We must imagine them. We must create them. And we must then deploy them so that they do not only assist us to get where we ought to be, but they sustain us where we ought to be. So they must be futuristic. They must be institutions of the future. So we are going to live in the present, but not be of it. We live in the present, but we are of the future. And so we must give our people a foretaste of what that future has. We are going to be the exemplars, the models of that future. That's what we are going to be. All of us. All of us. With all our foibles of character, with all our shortcomings, we're going to come together and complement each other in an objective way, objective complementarity. Where I fall short, somebody must step in and compliment me, so that where they fall short, I also compliment them. That's the complementarity we're talking about. None of us is perfect here. At least I'm not. I'm upfront about my own imperfections, my own faults and foibles. We all must be. For how can we improve if we don't accept that we are fissured, broken, needing help, sometimes needing just a hug? So we need to understand this. We're going to be agile. We're going to fashion and design appropriate institutions. In the fashioning and designing, we're going to dismantle certain that have been in existence. We're going to tinker and reconfigure many of them. And we are going to design an institutional repertory, an institutional ecosystem or architecture that carries us there, so that it doesn't become a society of personalities. This is a powerful guy. No, there's no powerful guy here. We're all powerful together. Individually, we are weak, but collectively, we are formidable. And this is what we have to do. And so, you carry this responsibility. I've said, and I repeat here, the job of president or running a country is the easiest in the world. I believe this with all my heart. It's the easiest. I've got the easiest job. Very easy. Why? Because I have you to think, to help, to design, to imagine, to come up with workable solutions. You have that job. All I need to do is to understand you when you speak, be able to interact with the ideas that you put on the table, so that together we operationalize them. Is that difficult? I can make it difficult for myself and for you by being impervious to advice. I'm not going to do that. I'm receptive to advice of any man. So you must feel free to engage, to advise. And the press, don't flatter anybody, much less myself. Don't invite me to come and flatter me. No, don't do that. When you invite me, let's deal with the most difficult and painful questions. Let's probe together. Let's ask the questions. And when we're going to have a discussion, don't bring people who will agree. Let's be dialectical in our approach to issues. And dialectics impels us to deal with an issue from the point of view of opposing forces and views. That's how you have movement. Contradiction. We can't have movement if we all agree. We'll be stuck in one place. So we must differ. But when we differ, as we should, we must mediate all those differences with civility and respect. When I differ with you, it is not because you hate me, or at least I assume. Maybe you do, but it doesn't matter to me. Whether you're motivated by hate or whatever, what matters to me is the ideas that you propound when you are in that state. Tell me what you think. Tell me why you think what I'm doing is wrong and how I can make it better. I'm not about cheap political point scoring. I'm not about political sound bites. I'm not a sound bite leader or a sound bite politician. I'm about substance. We are all about substance. And when you deal with substance, you have no time for pettiness. You have no time for frivolity. You have no time for trivia. So all the debates that we'll have, even in Parliament, and I'm sure you've observed how we've approached even the leader. No time to engage with trivia, pettiness. Don't play the man or the woman. Play the ball. For those who play the man, demonstrate their inability to play the ball. So if you're going to play the ball, you'll play the ball. You disagree with how things are being done, you are entitled to disagree. I defend your right to disagree. I'll give you the airplay to disagree. But do so respectfully. And that's what we want. And so when you also report fairly, report accurately. This is just to set the scene, set the tone, and begin to paint on this canvas. I'm painting in broad strokes. The detail will come. We know, we've said, and the people have heard us say, we want universal health care. And when we say universal health care, we say so alive to this normal, where government provides standardized, low quality goods and services. We want to break out of that frozen mold and get into a different level of operation where every citizen is assured of high quality health care. And this must be regardless of their income status, the income status of our people, or their geographic location. We've elected as a model or vehicle for the delivery of this to bring about a national health insurance scheme. We've said this. And because we are informed by human rights, we've asked ourselves, on what basis really should anybody claim entitlement to quality health care? And we said on one basis and one basis only. This is what the Constitution says. Every person in Botswana is entitled to, that's Section 3 of the Constitution, which the courts have interpreted to be an overarching provision. That's the nerve center of the Constitution. Whereas every person, it's not just a preamble, it's substantive, it's rights conferring. So it says, if you are in Botswana, you may be a citizen, citizenship is higher level. Just your mere presence here entitles you to these constitutional protections enshrined in the Constitution. So citizens of this country must enjoy universal access to health care. That's the basis. And we will now begin to introduce a health insurance scheme. We've said we want to make it plain. This involves a revamping, not just of the health facilities and other facilities, schools. We want schools of the future, where every child is but a tongue-tied prophet, coming to have their talents discovered, their talents refined, honed, so that they can use those talents to improve their lot and to assist their country. This is what our education is going to do. And I made a promise to people out there. I said, your children will love school. First, because it will be hospitable to them. It will be their place. And you will be able to see when you walk in the fullness of time, that this is a school. And I once asked a question in Parliament, said, what is a school? What makes a school? Is it some house, dilapidated, or however it may appear, with somebody saying they are a teacher and some blackboard, broken windows, no chairs, no books? Does that qualify as a school? What is a school? We're going to lay down the baselines, levels below which it will not qualify to be called a school. And we want to run schools. So we're going to ensure that our children go to schools, that you don't have to spend money on private, what you call English medium schools. Money you don't have, but money you are forced to spend because otherwise it would be neglect. It would border on being an irresponsible parent because the public facilities are substandard. We want to change that narrative. We are going to change that narrative together.